Hello once again everyone, Tour de Force here. Usually when I hear someone complain about today's music being completely deceased, they're referring to the kingpins of music such as rock and roll, punk, hip-hop, or even jazz and classical. This is fundamentally not the case, but this could be the case for certain subgenres. For instance, something like nu metal could be basically considered dead since its inception in the 1990s and the 2000s. However, this video is not about nu metal as you've seen by the title, it's about shoegaze. So in this video, I'm going to take a deep dive into shoegaze and noise pop and see if these two genres are still alive and kicking to this day, or if they are as dead as my brain cells after scrolling TikTok for more than a couple of minutes. Let's get into it. First of all, we should have some context to figure out what these genres are really about before we get into whether or not they are dead. There are many important bands that led to the creation of shoegaze, which I like to call the founding fathers. All the way from the Jesus and Mary Chain's Psycho Candy, which combines noise as a primary texture with pop music, to Sonic Youth, which is one of the most important noise rock bands of all time, and to bands like Dinosaur Jr. and The Cure, there are many examples of experimentation that led to this genre's true creation in the 1980s and 1990s. There's also the band known as Kane, which is known to be maybe the first band to shoegaze, despite their lack of popularity. The name of the genre, shoegaze, derives from the critics explaining that these bands like to gaze at their pedal boards and stare at their guitars during their live performances. And the critical focus on the pedal board was right on the money, as this genre relies on the use of guitar pedals such as distortions, delays, and heavy amounts of reverb to give overwhelming amounts of volume and noise to songs. Oftentimes, the noise of the guitars are so loud that the vocals are unintelligible, making vocals more of a textural instrument rather than a driving force for lyrics. For shoegaze, I would slice up this genre into three different categories that were invented by three important bands. The first being My Bloody Valentine, big shocker there, as they not only popularized the genre, but also made it into the beast that it is known as today. I would call this version of shoegaze the noisy type, as it is categorized by having loud, blistering guitar tones. The second king of shoegaze would be Slowdive, and I would categorize this type as the dreamy type. This version of shoegaze isn't as noisy and relies on a more psychedelic and ethereal sound quality. The third king of shoegaze is a band called Have a Nice Life, which I would consider to be the drony style of shoegaze. This style is reliant on dark and suspenseful tones to convey a sense of dread to the listener. There's also kind of a secret fourth category, which I would consider to be the Smashing Pumpkins, Soda Stereo, and Lift to Experience, more rooted in alternative rock. There might be more styles to shoegaze in this, but generally speaking, these are the main 3 to 4 styles that you will hear throughout your shoegazing journey. Another big staple of this genre is the use of a guitar technique called gliding, where you use the tremolo bar while also playing chords. Also, short and shameless plug, please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video so far, as these videos take a long time to make. Okay, back to it. Now that we've got the stereotypical video essay part out of the way, let's go into whether or not these two genres are officially dead. Now, as with all complex music history questions, there's usually more than one answer. In terms of amount of bands and album releases, absolutely the not nowadays. After the genre's big hits in 1991 and 1993, shoegaze started to have a steady decline until the 2000s. This is also around the time nu metal started to die out. Coincidence? I think maybe. But specifically after 2009, this genre had a major resurgence of bands, albums, and audience popularity. Bands from Candy Claus, The Sleepwalk, to Carousels, to Tokyo Shoegazer, and to LSD and the Search for God revitalized this genre to mainstream audiences more than it even was in the 90s. Other bands like Deaf Heaven and Sadness also reached the mainstream as well, but with a different idea in mind. These two bands reinvented and twisted the genre into black gaze, a combination of shoegaze and atmospheric black metal, which really showed that shoegaze was not at all stagnant. Bringing up some quick honorable mentions from Alcest to Ringo Death Star, DIIV, and Nothing. This decade had a crazy lineup of albums and artists, especially since the big 3 kings of shoegaze returned to make a sort of swan song to 90s shoegaze. My Bloody Valentine released MBV in 2013 after a 22-year hiatus from album releases. Slowdive released their self-titled Slowdive album in 2017 after a 22-year hiatus as well. Even Have a Nice Life joined in on the action with The Unnatural World in 2014. But this was only the beginning of the revitalization of shoegaze, as the 2020s have been even crazier for the popularization of this genre with a South Korean band named Parannoul. Specifically, their 2021 album, To See the Next Part of a Dream, is probably the most influential album to modern-day shoegaze and noise pop. The album is laced with many influences from 90s My Bloody Valentine and to Dinosaur Jr.'s vocal interest. Oh my god.
Tyler, hold on, I got her. Quit! Stop! I swear!
and to Dinosaur Jr.'s vocal introspection, but the production of the album has a very modern bedroom recording type of sound. It's not a high quality studio recording, but it's also not a low quality demo recording. This album, and a couple others before it, showed that modern day shoegaze can be recorded in any home studio, no matter your gear or setup. I would say Parannoul is to modern shoegaze as My Bloody Valentine was to 90s shoegaze. The only real issue with this surge in popularity is that there really hasn't been a huge shoegaze hit in the past couple of years. There are some projects I do know of, however, such as Asian Glow, Sonho's Tomum, Wisp, and Hotline TNT. Alright everyone, I'm going to teach you all at home how to modern day shoegaze. Step 1. Come up with a simple yet not too simple drum beat. For a 90s feel, make the drum beat as simple as you can make it. Most of the time, you're just going to be playing on the ride cymbal anyways. Step 2. Make 2 simple melodic chord progressions, one for your verses and one for your big crescendos. Remember to bend that whammy bar. You can also use your guitar for melodies if you are at singing, like me. Step 3. Your bass line has to root the song down since the guitars will be flying all over the place, but a melodic bass line always sounds good in like every context. Step 4. Crank up your guitar pedals, or just dial them in so they sound good. Which leads into my next point. My main guess as to why this revitalization happened from 2009 to modern times is due to the invention of digital processing and home studio recordings. Shoegaze was already a genre with a DIY indie type of sound, so being able to record guitars and songs within the comfort of your own home just made sense naturally. The sheer amount of quality you can get with a cheap sounding microphone, amp, and amp software just destroys and is light years ahead of what was available in the 90s. As long as you have a laptop, a guitar, a cable, and an audio interface, you can make songs of basically anything that you can dream of. No more of having to book expensive days at a recording studio that could be miles away from home. Now you can just buy some slightly less expensive equipment and make music all you want in the comfort of your own home. Modern day shoegaze has turned into a sort of bedroom genre for introverted guitarists that don't really prefer having their voice be the star of the show. And that could be shoegaze's final resting place. Also, if any of you use Rate Your Music, it has this useful feature to see percentage of releases at any given year. Look at the difference between the 1990s and the 2020s. Kinda crazy for a genre that came out in a year that the new generation would call boomer. As for noise pop, since it's so closely tied to shoegaze, I would also say it's not dead. I will say that there has been a lack of straight noise pop releases though. Industrial experts Xiu Xiu somewhat recently released the single Common Loon off of their latest album, and there's also For the Rest of Your Life by Twikipedia, which combines noise pop with Midwest emo vibes. So maybe there's an argument to be made about noise pop being dead, but I'll let you all decide that on your own. So to answer the question of whether or not shoegaze or noise pop is dead, the answer is not really. As seen by the popularity with recent bands and albums, this genre is nothing short of alive and kicking. Sure, the experimentation with the genre has slowed down since the 2010s, but it has gotten more popular than ever due to modern recording techniques and accessibility. Smaller artists and bands are making music for this genre constantly, and with the new kings of modern shoegaze like Parannoul influencing those artists, we have a lot of thanks to give to those awkward, pedalboard-staring guitarists of the 90s. Anyways, that's all for this short analysis on shoegaze and noise pop. I hope you all enjoyed this video enough to like and subscribe, as it lets me know what type of content you like the most. Also, my main camera went out, so I have to use my phone again. Thanks for watching, everyone. Tour de Force out.